Hello again. Welcome back to MUFC versus everybody. My name is Sean. Welcome back. I know, same shirt as the last video. Honestly, I shot these two videos back to back just because of my schedule being the way it is and just my computer doing an update in the morning, so I wasn't able to do my usual morning video. So apologies for being late with these, but technology, right? It's one of my biggest pet peeves is when technology doesn't work the way you want it to. It's like VAR. There's no excuse for it. So that being said, we want to keep going with my mini series on priority positions, who United are been linked with, who I'd like to see us sign, and just what are the priority positions that we should be looking at strengthening in the summer. In the last video, we covered left backs. Talked a little bit about who we've been linked with, guys like Gutierrez, guys like Bard. I looked a little bit about who I liked. Leif Davis at Ipswich, Hugo Bueno, Bjorn Meyer at Club Brugge. Hopefully you guys got that. If you didn't, go back and give that a watch, but don't leave quite yet. We're still watching this video, right? So today we're looking at kind of the big one, right? The big one that everyone's been talking about, the ones that have been talked about most, I think, in the media and on social media, and that's center backs. We have center back is probably the most Frankensteinish area of our squad right now. We've got Mourinho players, we've got Ollie players, we've got Ten Hag players, we've got free players who technically were Sir Alex players if you look at Johnny Evans, and then we've got youngsters. So it's kind of all over the place, and honestly, not many of them, aside from one or two, are ideal for where we're at right now as a club. So just like the other videos, I want to make sure that before we dive in, hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe and check us out on Twitter, MUFC versus everybody. And if we can get some more followers, if we can get the channel growing, getting some engagement, right, I'd love to show my thanks to you guys by doing some live streams, maybe doing some live chat interaction, and maybe doing some call-ins once I get the hang of the platforms here, the recording platforms, because I am not very techy, but on the pitch, not with the computer though. Yes, I do play now and then. I'm old though, so not as much as I used to. To be honest though, no, I never was a techie player. I try to play striker. I like heading the ball. I like holding up the play. I'm not great with footwork. If you ask people that I've played footy with, I have no left foot. Like what Giggsy used to say, his off foot was for standing only. Yeah, my left foot's just for standing. But I still kick around. I just kicked around the other day. We had some great weather, so it was nice to just get out and stretch my legs a little bit. But yeah, I would love to get you guys involved more. Help me grow the channel, and I would love to show my appreciation for that in any way I can. So let me know what you think about that. Let's dive in. Ten Hag's system relies heavily on center backs who are good on the ball and who have pace. Just like Pep's, just like Liverpool, just like Arsenal, even to some degree. High press leaves you vulnerable at the back, and it can take one or two passes to expose that, but that's where you need pacey or at least really good mentally center backs to read that and be able to recover. We don't really have those. One of his first signings at the club was Lisandro Martinez. Very good on the ball. I mean, how many times has he done Cruyff turns or megged people when they're pressing him just to open up space for himself and pick out a teammate? So right now we have Licha, Raphael Varane, Harry Maguire, Victor Lindelof, Johnny Evans, and Willy Camboala. Now, you may look at that and say, look at all those center backs, but we've seen how quickly things fall apart or how vulnerable we look at United when 1, 2, or in this case 4 of our first team center backs are injured. We lose Licha and we have no center backs who are as good on the ball as he is. And we're struggling to try to play out from the back with guys like Maguire and Lindelof. We're struggling against the high press again with guys like Maguire and Lindelof. I mean, how many times we just saw it the other day against Liverpool. Maguire tries to take a couple steps out with the ball at his feet, and no one's telling him, and he's not aware, but I'm yelling at the screen, man on, and he loses possession in our area, just outside of our own box, right? And we can't do that. I wish Ten Hag would adjust a little bit when we don't have the players and not play like that and just get the ball out and get it going, but it is what it is. Leach has been pretty much injured all season. Varane is out of contract in the summer, and it's unclear right now whether or not he will be here next year. There's rumors he might stay on reduced wages, but can't plan on that at the moment, so let's just assume for argument's sake he's not. Maguire's not a bad defender. He's not as bad as people think. He just doesn't suit this system. We were open to selling him last summer, Maguire. But unfortunately, because of our poor negotiations, we pay him too much. And nobody else can afford that. And I think West Ham are interested. West Ham can't afford what Harry Maguire's on. He would be good for West Ham, I think. He suits them to the T. Same with like McTominay. But no one can afford it. Lindelof, sorry, allergies. This is the worst time of the year for me. So any of you that are out there who struggle with seasonal allergies, I feel your pain. Lindelof was a Mourinho signing, and while he works hard, he just doesn't really look physical enough for this league. He never has. I like Lindelof. I mean, call him the Iceman. I just don't see it. And honestly, he doesn't strike me as a Mourinho type signing, but it is what it is. Evans was signed for free after the funds ran out last summer. We wanted a couple other defenders. We just didn't have the money. And while Evans hasn't really put a foot wrong, I mean, and arguably, I would argue I would give it to Delo, but Evans has been up there for one of our best players this season. He's 36, and the injuries have started to kind of pile up. He's needing more and more time to recover, especially if he picks up a little knock, and we just can't rely on that at a certain point. But he has been a servant of the club under Sir Alex, and even now this season, he's been a great defender. Willy Coimboala, big Willy style. He's just 19, and he's only played a few times for United. He looks good when he does play, especially starting against Liverpool. Can you imagine, again, as a 19-year-old coming in on like a match like that and just putting in the display that he did? I mean, United's academy, man, we're back to it. But we can't rely on Coimboala as a starter yet. That's a lot of pressure. He's 19. He looks good. I would love to keep him around as a third, fourth choice option next season. But right now, we need someone a little older, a little more developed. So we don't know what happened to Varane. I don't think we can plan on him. Lindelof and Maguire could leave, honestly, as well, if they're looking for more minutes. I think that Maguire is, 30, 31. He likes the club. He could stay. He probably wouldn't mind staying, honestly, Maguire. Lindelof, though, is, 29. I think Lindelof might be the one you definitely see move on, just because I think he's going to want to play more. And Evans could retire, honestly, or not, according to any report you read. There was a rumor that came out that he was retiring, and then it was kind of debunked. I don't know what's going on with that, but I think if he wanted to stay on for one more year, I think Ten Hag probably would sign off on that. I don't know if Ineos would sign off on that, but he was free, so he can't be on very high wages, so who knows. And like I said, Coimboala could be rotation. So you could argue that we might even need two center backs. Honestly, it just depends. I know there were some freebies out there, like Tosin, Adara Bioyo? I can't remember how to say his last name. Sorry, Tosin. Sorry, I hold my hands up on that one. Massive L on the pronunciation for your last name, bud. Sorry. And then Lloyd Kelly. That was a lot easier to say than at Bournemouth, I think, are both free. I want to say Hermoso at Atletico Madrid is free too, but he would be one that would probably want to come in and be guaranteed starter, and he's left-footed, left side, and we already have one of those. And Ten Hag, you know how Ten Hag and Dutch managers in general are kind of sticklers for left-footed play on the left side, right-footed play on the right side. We'll touch upon that in a little bit if you know where I'm going. Wink, wink. So we might need two, but today we're just going to look at who we're linked with, and then I'll let Ineos and Ten Hag decide how many we get. I think our backline in general is in need of leadership. I think we need some physicality, which is a combination of like strength and pace. Though I will put this caveat out there when people say like, "Oh, this such and such isn't fast enough, such and such isn't fast enough." To me, speed isn't as important in general for a center back. If you can read the game, speed of thought will always trump speed of foot, in my opinion. If you could read the game, look at someone like Daley Blind, Busquets, these guys read the game and they put themselves in positions. They don't have to run all the time. They don't have to be fast to make it. They just know where to be. There's a lot to be said for players who can do that, and especially in that delicate area of the pitch, that defensive third, back line. I think we need awareness. Someone who just can sense the danger, is aware of what's going on, especially over their back shoulder, because we get done on those back stick crosses time and time again. Good reading of the game, like I said. initiative to take responsibility in these situations when there's a ball coming in the box, when there's a ball, and just someone needs to get on that. Like against Chelsea, Cole Palmer's just chilling on that corner at the edge of the box. No one's going out to close that space down. No one's going out to intercept that ball. Someone who can see a situation like that, and instead of pointing, just says, I'm taking care of it." Someone who's just, the job needs to be done, so I'm just going to do it. Um, Especially when we're defending set pieces, like I said, we have a glaring lack of responsibility and initiative on set pieces. No one attacks the ball. No one really ever jumps to get rid of those balls into the box. Everyone's playing off the back foot when we're defending set pieces, and it's costing us problems. Or it's causing us problems, sorry. So we need someone who can take charge in those moments rather than wait and hope for someone else to do it. So United, you've been linked with several center halves this season with names like Jean-Claire Todibo, Gerard Branthwaite, and Gleason Bremer popping up all over the place online. So I want to take a look at those players in particular. Those three are the ones that pop up most frequently. But as always, I wanted to go ahead and add some of my own as well, that I've been looking at that I think will be good fits for us, and I think have a lot of the qualities that I just outlined that we need. So start with Todibo, and we'll go from there. Sure, at this point, I don't need to explain a whole lot who Todibo is. I'm sure once we started being linked and once Sir Jim took over in Ineos, I think a lot of people were already jumping on the computer or FC24 and scouting a lot of these players, right? A 24-year-old French defender. He's really leveled up in his skill set since joining Nice and leaving Barcelona. And he's a really good age, I think, that 24, 25 range, that 23, 24, 25 is a good age for what we need. It shows enough experience, but also a little bit of longevity, which is a good balance. He's a good ball-playing center back. He doesn't also shy away from leaving a little bit on someone as far as defensive is concerned. He's in the 87th percentile for tackles per 90, so he's not afraid to get stuck in. He can carry the ball forward. He can also pick a pass. Top 4% for successful take-ons, and he's well within the top 10% for progressive passes. So he can carry the ball forward out of defense, and he can pick a pass when he needs to, which is exactly what we need. Seems like the perfect fit, right? You'd think that with Sir Jim owning Nice, getting Todibo would be just a no-brainer. Simple formality almost as far as paperwork is concerned, handshake and it's done. But what we're hearing is Nice want more than £40 million for him, and even though Sir Jim owns Nice, you still have to show in the multi-club system that you paid fair market value for a player, unless you're Man City, apparently. But that's neither here nor there, except it's here and there because they cheat. What? I didn't say anything. Todibo would instantly improve United's defense, and 40 million is a bargain in my opinion for a center back of his age, his profile, his talent, and his still room to grow. His ceiling is still higher. I think that's a snip, and so I think that would be almost a no-brainer if we can get that deal done. It would be an instant weight off of our shoulders moving forward because that's a delicate area of the pitch for us that needs strengthening, and with finances being what they are, 40 million for a player like Todibo is a great deal. Moving on to Gerard Branthwaite, the latest, hot young thing in the league with good reason. He's a good player. He's English, which is why a lot of Premier League clubs really like him. He's tall, powerful, and he looks like a player with a bright future, right? With what we've seen from him this season. For a 21-year-old, he's 21. He's very young. He reads the game well, and he positions himself to break up play and sense where the danger is coming from. These are skills that you don't develop for another couple of years as a center back. Top 20% for tackles, interceptions, and aerial duels, 1 per 90. And he makes a lot of clearances, too. So he's kind of that quintessential, I guess, not to be too stereotypical, but that English center back, basically. Like your Harry Maguire-ish, but maybe just a little more speed. Which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that, Sometimes you just need defenders who just defend well, who do the simple things well, and I think Branthwaite does that, but also a little bit more in a lot of key areas. Problem is he's going to be expensive because his current contract runs to 2027. He's English because there's that English tax, that Premier League tax, especially if we're trying to get from another club within the league. And apparently Everton have put a £75 million price tag on him. Sort of like Amadou Onana, who we talked about in another video. His price tag could go either way, depending on what happens with Everton and their points deductions or fines, whether or not they get relegated as a result. If they stay up, obviously that £75 million probably stays. If they go down, you could probably knock that down to like 50, 55-ish. There are also other clubs reportedly interested in him, which could also drive that price up. And then the other stick is Branthwaite's left-footed. I know he's played on the right when he was on loan at PSV. I remember watching him last season at PSV, and he looked good then too. And he did play on the right. But again, it's one of those things. Ten Hag can be kind of a stickler for left-footed left side or right-footed right side, and so it would just depend on how Ten Hag feels about that. If he thinks he's good enough to play on the right side, if he's good enough with his right foot. Plus, would he want to be an understudy to Martinez if we brought him in and Ten Hag opts for another right-footed center back? I don't know. I doubt that he would, but stranger things have happened. You know, City seem to buy a center back every single season, and they don't have a problem rotating. Pep doesn't have a problem just throwing one of them aside every year when he wants a new toy. So we'll see if maybe United need to kind of get to a place like that to some degree if we want to really start challenging and not dropping off so much in quality when a player is injured or something. So it's a pipe dream. I wouldn't prioritize a backup like Branthwaite for that price, but we'll see what happens. Gleason Bremer, older, more experience, offers a bit of leadership, does have a release clause of 60 to 70 million euros, I think, so kind of similar price. And reportedly, Juventus are already looking for a replacement in a young defender. I think his name was Calafiore, I believe was his name. So years of experience, even though he's the same price. So you have Branthwaite, Bremer, around the same price. One is 5 years older than the other, so a little more experience, less longevity. So what is worth more to you? Immediate leadership and experience, or a long-term option like Branthwaite for the same price? It's not up to us. I know everyone's going to feel a little differently. Oh, we need that now. We need it now. No, we need a plan for the future. We need to do this. Like, it's in an ideal world, you'd have both, but we don't live in an ideal world, so it is what it is. If you think you could get Bremer and either another young CB like an Anselmino or something, or even a freebie like Lloyd Kelly, or I'm going to try it again, Adara Bioyo. No? Whatever. I give up. I'm just going to say Tosin from now on. It might work. If you get a freebie and Bremer, I wouldn't mind that, right? You have a couple of experience. One's free, one's this, one's a little more expensive. So if you kind of break that down, let's say you get Bremer and Lloyd Kelly for that 60 million release clause. That's basically like getting two center backs who can start for 30 million each. Not bad. Math, right? See? Pronunciation, horrible. Math, great. As long as it's 2 digits, we're good. Oops, press the button. So I'm not opposed to it, like I said, but the release clause is a lot for a player with, quite frankly, average numbers. A couple of them are a little above average, but just average. Aside from he's good aerially in both areas. He gets touches in the opposition box and he wins a lot of his aerial duels. So he's good in the air, physical, but doesn't, at least on paper, he doesn't offer a whole lot else in terms of the way we might want to play. So we'll see. I think there's an opportunity to maybe get that, to get him for a lower price than the release clause. It might be worth looking more closely at, but I'd probably prefer a younger option, which brings us to my options. So those are the ones we've been linked with in the media. My options offer, again, what I've been looking for: some speed, some physicality, good on the ball, and maybe even a versatility if someone can maybe play right back as well. Wink, wink. So let's take a look. Odilan Kosonu. Did I pronounce that right? Sorry. I should probably learn how to pronounce them before I jump on. It's all right, though. You guys know who I'm talking about. 23-year-old Ivorian, 6'3", plays for Bayer Leverkusen. Like Ezekiel Palacios, like we already discussed in a recent video. Again, go check that out if you haven't yet. It might be difficult to attract players from this dominant Leverkusen side, especially They win Bundesliga, they qualify for Champions League. A lot of them might be riding that wave of excitement, that hype. Especially if Leverkusen are in the Champions League and United are not, it might kill a lot of it. But what makes it different, though, is that he doesn't start every match. He's only started 17 matches for Leverkusen this season. And he's been fit, so he's not starting right now. So the kicker could be, he could probably come in and be a guaranteed starter at United for that right side of our defense, which could turn his head and pique his interest. He's always available, like I said. He's physical, he senses the danger, and he's good on the ball, these are all traits that Ten Hag likes in his defenders. Top 4% for progressive passes, and has nearly a 90% pass completion. So again, 90% pass completion when you're in the top 4% for progressive passes as well means you like vintage Rio Ferdinand. He's just getting the ball, picking those incisive passes, and he's finding his teammates higher up the pitch, which is almost an invaluable trait from a center back. It saves you some time. It launches the attack quicker. It bypasses a lot of the opposition. It's like worth its weight in gold, a center back that can do that. He's in the top 8% for interceptions as well. Again, it's that reading of the game, positioning, able to sense where the danger is coming from and break up play. So Florian Plettenberg, so Plettigol on Twitter, reported back in January that United were interested in Kusonu. So he might already be on our list, but he's definitely on mine. Hopefully you guys can check him out if you haven't already and see what I'm talking about. Next on my list, we're going to stay in Leverkusen for a second, is Edmund Tapsoba. A name a lot of us have already been familiar with, most likely. He's been linked with moves for the last few seasons now with big clubs. I think Barcelona were linked with him last summer. 25 years old, 6'4". He's fast, powerful presence. He's at that right age again. He's experienced. He's a leader. His defensive numbers haven't been as great in the last year, but as far as ball-playing defenders go, he's the top. Top 2 and top 1%, even when it comes to progressive passes, progressive carries, successful take-ons, and attempted passes. So he's, again, that ball-playing center half. 90% pass completion, again. Top 10% for shot-creating actions. So he's making those progressive passes. He's doing it with 90% accuracy, and he's finding teammates who are in the best positions to get a shot off or create assists with those shot-creating actions. So he would be massive for us in terms of playing out for the back, but those lack of defensive numbers are a little bit of concern. But we'll see. It could just be a system thing. I know Leverkusen tend to play with 3 at the back, so maybe that's, if there's 3 defenders, you're not asked to do as much because you're spreading that responsibility a little thinner. But who knows? He's going to have a lot of defensive requirements at United because just the way we are. But the kicker is he has a €100 million release clause. So this could be a pipe dream for any club, let alone one like United, who is pretty much skint right now. We're seeing FFP come down hard this season. A lot of clubs are struggling to make ends meet in that regard. So 100 million release clause is not great. I think you'd have better luck, again, going with Kusonu. It sounds like Tapsoba is one that Leverkusen want to stick with for a while. So might be able to tempt Kusonu to take a move away. Finally, and this one is probably my top pick, this is Mohamed Simikin, 23-year-old French center back, plays for RB Leipzig. Another French defender making a name for himself at Leipzig, right? He's actually, like I said, my top pick. So we had Upamecano, Konate, Simikan. Physical, fast, really good on the ball. He can fill in at right back too if needed, kind of like Ben White has done or Jules Koundé has done. He's not a natural right back, obviously, so there's a bit of a learning curve there as far as, but he can do it if we need to, which sometimes we're going to need at United, obviously, with the way our medical staff has been criminally not fit for purpose. His ball progression stats are all within the top 10% for defenders, and his tackles, interceptions, and aerial duel numbers are solid as well. So Simikan is a really good modern defender, can do a little bit of everything, and he's got a little higher stats when it comes to attacking. So Newcastle have been linked with him. I know that they've got Fabian Schär. It's probably I think Fabian Schär is 29, 30. So they might be looking to upgrade. I know Newcastle brought in from Lille, who's the Dutch center back, Botman. They brought him in. He's young too. So, and Newcastle are rich, so it could be a bidding war a little bit there. He's got a release clause of 70 million euros that kicks in this summer, so it could be a bit pricey. But I think a deal could be done for less than that if you act quickly. Problem is, we don't do that at United, and I don't think we're ready to do that even with this new structure that we're trying to build and new ownership, because we haven't even got everybody in yet. This is the time, like I said in my last video, this time right now, this April, May, is when you need to start making those connections and making those contacts and getting deals started. I like him a lot, and I think his physicality, mentality, and reading of the game will be a perfect fit at United. Mohamed Simikin. Those are my picks for center back. Obviously, it's going to be a big priority position for us this summer. What do you think? You agree with my choices? Do you disagree? What are your thoughts on the ones we've been linked to already? Who would be your pick? Basically, let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Don't forget to go check us out, MUFC vs. Everybody on Twitter. Leave a comment. Follow us if you want to engage with all the fun ramblings that go on social media. And be sure to check out the other videos in this series if you haven't already. I've got match reactions to Brentford, Liverpool. I have some videos about Ten Hag coming into his defense. I have another video on why I think Ineos could replace Ten Hag, some of the reasons in there. So give those a look. I really like doing this. I'm starting to kind of feel more comfortable with it. I hope you guys are enjoying it. Let me know in the comments below what kind of videos you'd like to see, if you'd like to get involved in some live stuff in the future, and we'll go from there. Thanks, guys. See you in the next one.